Today we're going to be talking about Space Marines. Alright, so to start off this, I'm going to read a quote from the Big E himself, the Emperor of Mankind. They shall be my finest warriors, men who give themselves to me. Like clay I shall mold them, and in the furnace of war forge them. They will be of iron will and steely muscle. In great armor I shall clad them, and with the mightiest guns they will be armed. They will be untouched by plague or disease. No sickness will blight them. They will have tactics, strategies, and machines so that no foe can best them in battle. They will be my bulwark against the terror. They will be the defenders of humanity. They are my Space Marines, and they shall know no fear. Pretty bold words that can be backed up. Now, the Space Marines have a lot of lore, mainly because they are the poster children of the Warhammer 40k universe. Like, whenever you go to a comic shop or a game shop and you see that weird giant poster of the guy in blue armor with a gun, that's the Space Marines. Now, in lore, they also are known as the Astartes, and that has something to do with how they were originally created. See, the Emperor, he's super smart, but he still knows when to ask for help. So when creating the Space Marines, he sought the help of a scientist known as Astarte. Now, the Big E and Astarte created the Space Marines using the DNA of the Emperor's children, the Primarchs, to help lay the groundwork for all the Space Marine chapters, or I guess at this point they're legions. That's only one part of their creation. See, Space Marines have 11 extra organs in total by the time they are completely done being created, and these range from 2 brains, 2 hearts, a 3rd lung, special skin that makes them bulletproof to small arms fire, which good luck finding small arms fire in the 41st millennium. And all of this creates the strongest Space Marines in all of science fiction. How they start off is each Space Marine legion or chapter, depending on what time period you are reading the lore in. I'll get into the differences in a little bit. And they'll go to a planet and they'll choose potential candidates to be Space Marines. And these usually are young children, and by young children, usually boys. Sorry, girls, you can't be Space Marines. Since, the gene seed is, based off the Primarchs, who are all guys, DNA science kind of says no. At least the science in that universe, which is a little bit tricky because the universe is fucked. So, yeah. If you want to know how fucked it is, it took 10,000 years to get an upgrade to the Space Marines. It took 10,000 years to make Primaris Space Marines. So, yeah, so don't expect female Space Marines anytime soon in the lore. Now, from being taken off the home planet, it's kind of like, many of you will be thinking, oh, this is kind of like Halo, except the main difference is, in the universe of Halo, which I'm going to be comparing a lot to Halo, because that's what more people recognize. See, the UNSC from Halo, they straight up kidnap the children. Well, the Space Marines actually go out and be like, hey, we would like to take your child to potentially become a Space Marine. And the families are like, it's an honor. They actually know that their child is probably going to die. Straight up. Like, you may read books upon books and lore and wikis about the Spartan 2 program and all that stuff, and how many kids died in it, in the Halo universe. Trust me when I say the Space Marine training makes that look like shit. Like, it is not uncommon for whole regiments of trainees. It is not uncommon for all of them to just die. That's how intense the training is. They do not fuck around. So usually after the child is taken from the family is usually gifted with money and status. They are, their child was chosen to be the angels of death to help protect humanity. So usually the family is, I guess, decently compensated for sending their child to his most likely grave. But whatever. And this begins a lifelong program of strict, I mean super strict and hardcore training. More hardcore depending on which legion or chapter recruited you. And training can vary between constantly fighting or constantly working on, marksmanship. Again, it all depends on the chapter, because each chapter or legion kind of does its own thing. They kind of specialize in their own special thing. And through this, as the child or aspirant grows up during the training, they're gradually gifted the new organs to make him into a space marine. Because, a lot of it has to do with, the body accepting the organs and hormones and all that fun stuff. So usually they do it gradually throughout time as the child is growing up, if he's lucky to grow up. And if you think that's bad, there are those who flunk out. If you flunk and you're still somehow alive, one or two things might happen. One is you get to go back to your family and people are like, you're back, you survived, you are honored to be back because you were at least chosen to potentially be a space marine. Because there is actually no real shame if you flunked, because they're just like, damn, you lived, holy shit. Or if you fucked up bad enough, you become a servitor, which basically means you are lobotomized, have robot parts shoved into your brain, and become a slave. That's it. You're dumb goof if that is your fate, which actually happens quite commonly because, you're learning their secrets, their tactics. So, they're like, you fucked up so bad and you learned so much, you ain't leaving and you can't be a space marine. So guess what? Slavery it is. And so once you become a space marine, usually there's one final test. And again, the test will vary depending on which chapter or legion you are in. Like for the space wolves, there's usually you have to fight another space wolf in hand-to-hand combat. Grey Knights, you are dumped with no weapons, no armor in the middle of nowhere. I think on like one of Titan's moons or something like that. And you have to make your way hundreds of miles back to the base alive. Good fucking luck. When you are a space marine, you aren't exactly, if you do manage to pass the test, doesn't mean you are 100% space marine yet. You are a space marine scout. You don't even have your helmet yet. So you'll be out there helmetless fighting, but that usually doesn't matter because half of the Space Marine legions are like, what's a helmet? Like, Space Wolves are really, really into not wearing their helmets because Vikings need to show off the goods, you know what I mean? You'll probably be a scout for a good 10, 20 years. And now somebody's saying, 10, 20 years? That seems a long time. Well, it's not usually that long. I mean, sometimes depending on if you are a scout during a really important battle, that process is expedited. But the thing is, once you become a space marine and you had all your new organs put in your body, you're essentially immortal because you're immune to disease. You don't really age. So, like, the only way to kill you is to kill you in battle. Like, good luck with diseases or poisons against the Space Marines. One of probably the most important parts about Space Marine lore you need to know goes back to the Horus Heresy. Now, I mentioned the Horus Heresy back in my terrible introduction to 40K video, which I'll try and remember to put a link in the description. So, summarize, the Horus Heresy is when half of the Space Marine legions turned to chaos and betrayed what is called the Loyalist legions. Now, this conflict lasted for about 7 years, and it ended with everything being fucked. That's the easiest way to put it. Everything was fucked. Robert Gilala, I can never pronounce his name, so I'm just going to call him Girly Man. He is the Primarch of the Ultramarines. And he decided that there needed to be rules. So him and a few other Primarchs decided to write the Codex Astartes. So this is what all of the Space Marine legions are supposed to follow. Some kind of see it as guidelines, or they just don't read it at all. Space Wolves. And some are exempt from it because they're still healing from the Horus Heresy, like the salamanders, like, damn, they got fucked during the Horus Heresy. Like, damn. And that'll be a video for another time, because I do plan on doing individual videos specifically on individual Space Marine chapters. But this is just kind of broad to let you know what Space Marines are. So with the Codex Astartes, there was no legions, because it used to be there could be as many Space Marines in a legion as they could recruit. And so they decided, nope, that's what created the Horus Heresy, so we're going to stop that. So basically, there can be only 1,000 Marines to a chapter. But don't worry, they have what's called successor chapters. So there's the original OG chapter, like the Imperial Fists, for example. There's the Imperial Fists, and then they have a successor chapter called the Crimson Fists, and so on and so forth. And also they have some sort of rule that says, hey, if something happens, all our successor chapters go into the first chapter, and fuck the rules. But, you know, that's special occasions, and that's a whole bucket of fish that I'll get into an Imperial Fist video. And so with that, that's how you kind of get the modern equivalency of Space Marines in the 41st millennium. And then also you have something called Primaris Marines, which was just introduced not that long ago, and I kind of mentioned them earlier. Primaris Marines are basically Games Workshop's attempt to make more money off of their most popular faction anyway, which I don't understand. Like, Space Marines, like, on the tabletop, Space Marines are the most popular faction played. I don't know why they decided to do Primaris, but I guess that helps with the fluff or sales, whatever. It's dumb, but whatever. So the Primaris are basically upgraded Space Marines, because after the Horus Heresy, Girly Man talked to a scientist called Balsarius Call, and with some, you know, after talking all that stuff, after 10,000 years, again, that's how long it takes for something to be new to be developed in this universe, because science, technology, and knowledge, what's that? So after 10,000 years of work, Balsarius Call finally came out with the Primaris. Conveniently, when Girly Man came back from whatever the fuck he was doing for 10,000 years, because you should also know all their leaders, all the Primarchs are either dead or just off doing something, except for when Games Workshop decides, oh, we made a model, here he is, he's back in the lore, now buy the model. And by the way, you'll need him if you want to be competitive, because again, fuck you. Yeah, so when Girly Man came back, Balsarius Call said, hey, here's these upgraded Primaris Marines. And the Primaris Marines probably get more in-depth in an individual video as well, because, like, even though they're a new addition to 40K, there's already a lot of lore with it. But that's all you basically need to really know, is that the Primaris are upgraded versions of the regular Space Marines. And it's stupid, because now I have to rebuy my Space Wolf army. I'm so happy. Well, I think that's going to be it. I think you guys got a kind of better understanding of the Space Marines. Sometime in the future, I'll do individual Space Marine chapters, because there's also lots of lore with them. So until then, stay safe, have fun, and may the Emperor protect.